Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and it is that time of the year. Time for our final Christian fucking Bale Month episode. It makes me sad every year. We are going to be doing a bonus Christian Bale episode in March, but it's only for our Patreon subscribers. So become a Patreon subscriber today for as little as $3 a month, and you can get that and other great content. And for those watching the video, here is the QR code. You can scan that. It'll take you directly to our Patreon page where you can sign up there. But we are wrapping out with our Patreon pick. So our Patreon supporters picked this, and that is Ford v. Ferrari. Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.
We are probably going to be saying vroom, vroom a lot this episode.
You're welcome.
So... I got to introduce my panelists first. Sorry. So first up, and of course, she's here every Christian fucking Bale Month because we cannot do Christian Bale Month without her. And that is Carla Vroom Vroom from OK Real Quick. So Carla, hello.
Hello, everybody, and a vroom vroom to you and to your family if you celebrate. I don't want to suppose that everybody vroom vrooms. You know, some people might not. Some people might rah, rah instead. And it would be wrong to discriminate on the basis of RPM sounds.
Good point, Carla. And also joining me, returning from last week, is Sara. Hello, Sara.
Hello.
Vroom vroom to you too. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I totally missed the vroom vroom part. But first up, we are spoiling this movie. I mean...
It's from 2019.
But not even that. This story is from the 60s.
Yeah,
so this is a movie they've been trying to get made for like over a decade. They had been trying to get this movie made. It was, you know who was going to be in it for a little bit of time?
Who?
Which I do not know how they would get them back together again since they did not have fun working together before. Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt.
What?
Yeah. But that fell apart. Plus, the
God.
cost of that was just astronomical. And Tom Cruise was going to play Matt Damon's role, and then Brad Pitt was going to play Christian Bale's role.
Wait, I'm trying to like wrap my head around this, and I'm just
No.
hang on. I need a sec. I'm trying to envision this in that particular order. No, I mean like no, thank you.
No.
But also just I can see why they would have wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that they didn't.
Yeah, it even got to like a table read and everything, I think.
Wow.
And then they scrapped it. A lot of it was for money, but yeah.
And we are thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, and famously, when Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt did Interview with the Vampire together, which Tom Cruise was very committed to his role and did a great job, Brad Pitt was awful in that movie. And he hated being there. He didn't want to do it. He tried so much to get out of the movie when they were doing it. And they said it was going to cost him like millions of dollars if he did that. So he did it. And you can tell that he didn't want to be there. And apparently, supposedly, Tom Cruise hated working with Brad Pitt because of this. And also he hated supposedly working with him because Brad Pitt smelled so bad. So this is supposedly, allegedly, you know.
I could see that.
So, yeah. But we didn't get that. We got what we got. We got what we got, okay?
We got what we got. I love that.
And also, as you can see, Michael Mann is a producer on this. Michael Mann was set to direct this for a long time. So, yeah. Okay, so this is from IMDb. Ford v. Ferrari from 2019 is about American car designer Carroll Shelby and driver Ken Miles, who battle corporate interference in the laws of physics to build a revolutionary race car for Ford in order to defeat Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1966. Sorry, I had to be dramatic about that. It was directed. It was directed. It was directed, but I did it again.
I think we should make that a new word.
Directed. Yeah. It was directed by James Mangold, written by Jez Butterworth, John Henry Butterworth, and Jason Keller. And it stars Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby, Christian Bale as Ken Miles, John Barenthal as Lee Iacocca, I'm so sorry, I should have looked this up beforehand. Catriona Belfi as Molly Miles. She was listed as Catriona Belfi, spelled differently, I guess, because I'm like, wait, isn't that the same name? Josh Lucas as Leo Beebe, Noah Jupe as Peter Miles, and Tracy Letts as Henry Ford II, Remo Garoni as Enzo Ferrari, and Ray McKinnon as Phil Remington. Little trivia about me. I have always had a soft spot for Ray McKinnon because I saw him in this really independent movie with Hal Holbrook. This was one of the last movies he made called The Evening Sun, which is it's a beautiful little movie. So if you ever can find it, watch it. So I always have a soft spot because he's so fantastic in that, Ray McKinnon. Okay, so what I first want to know, and I hope you will do me the pleasure of actually saying it in Vroom Vrooms. So on a scale of 1 to 5 Vroom Vrooms, Carla, what do you give Ford v Ferrari? I saw that, Sarah.
I'm going to do math here.
I give it vroom, 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 vroom.
That was 3.5 or 3.25?
3.5 rooms.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that. How you did the half. Amazing.
It just shut off right there.
Yeah, it did sound like it was just like, boop, engine cut off. Engine died.
Sorry.
So, Sarah?
Vroom, 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 vroom.
I liked that. That was so, I was like, oh, so
that was very good. Yes.
Vroom, 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 vroom. So I give it 4 as well. So that would average out probably to 3 3/4. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You didn't tell us that there was going to be math.
I know.
I'm caught
Math
off
is
guard
scary.
and I was not ready. Yeah, I was not prepared for math.
Oh, I forgot to mention with the cast list, this is very, very important. Honestly, it is. So Sibby Blazek, who is credited as Sibby Bale, who is Christian Bale's wife. They've been together. They were married in 2020, so they've been together for a long time. They met through Winona Ryder when Christian Bale did Little Women because Sibby was Winona's personal assistant. And Sibby is one of the stunt drivers in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yes,
What?
which I think is so amazing and so cool.
Wow.
So,
That is so cool. Oh my gosh.
That is very cool.
isn't that cool? So I had to just mention that as well. So Carla, since it is Christian fucking Bale Month, we're going to start with Christian and his character Ken Miles, who is, of course, a real person, was a real person. So your thoughts on Christian Bale and the character, or, I know he's real, but still the character.
It was a really good performance, and he feels like a good he feels like a real person. That's like just one of the gifts that Christian Bale has is, he takes somebody who was a real person, had their own personality, their own everything, and you're watching it and you're just caught up in the story and in what this person is experiencing through what Christian Bale is doing on the screen in a way that I think other than Katrina Balfe, I don't think anybody else really did that in this movie. To me, their scenes together were some of the strongest because they have such good chemistry and like such a great way of playing off of each other. And I was thinking, watching this, it's amazing that somebody who can play characters who are more reserved and more, like very intellectual and in their own heads can also do something like this, where this character is very external and doesn't really process things internally before he just explodes and this just everything outside of his brain. And that's the fact that he can do that and it's still as believable as those other performances is such a talent. Because I think that there are just a lot of performers who aren't necessarily as strong in that regard, where you can believe them in, any of that spectrum of those, internal versus external. I liked that he got to use an English accent.
Yeah.
And it's also like so funny to me, having watched him do so many American performances and watching him and this being the one where you're like, right. Yeah, he does that. Because, and I do wonder how many people went into this movie and were like, wow, he does such a good English accent. My gosh.
Probably a lot of people.
Why could that
Probably
be?
a lot. Yeah. Because to this day, like I'll be watching, a TikTok or a YouTube video about an interview with him. And people are like, today I learned that Christian Bale is actually English. And it just cracks me up because it's, as Bale heads, as people who study his oeuvre extensively over the course of years, we know this, but, not everybody is like as steeped in that to the point where like, oh yeah, we know that this is not his actual accent. But anyway, and also he doesn't have like a ton of scenes with Peter with the little boy, but all of them just feel like really, really parent-child, like especially for like that kind of parent where this is the kid's idol and the kid really looks up to him and he is simultaneously a very loving parent, but a very angry person. And I don't think that the movie did enough to really explore Ken's psyche because, they touch on the fact that he was in the Second World War and that he has like some underlying issues pertaining to that. But they don't really go into it, I think, nearly enough for me, because I would have loved to have seen more about how that informed his character. But I do like that in this movie, Ken Miles has like this, simmering layer of unresolved something that he's just kind of taking it out on the world at every opportunity. And it's also just heartbreaking watching him go through just so many things, like the IRS thing and, losing his shop for a bit and losing, the threat of losing his home and his wife struggling to be supportive, but also realistic, where she's like, if you don't get to drive, then you're going to be like unbearable, basically.
Yeah.
And at the same time, okay, but now I'm terrified because you are getting to do it. And one of my absolute favorite scenes is when she's like behind the wheel of the station wagon and it's like, oh, you want to play? Let's play. And it's just like, takes them on like this crash course through their suburban town. It's just like, oh, okay, you want to not tell me stuff? Okay, hang on to something because I'm going to make you fly out the station wagon door. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Like the fear in his eyes. And, it's a movie scene. It's choreographed. It's stunted to, to the high heavens. But he looks genuinely petrified. And I love that. I love that. And it's just like, it's a very heightened thing because in relationships, partners will fight. And when there's a partner who is not very forthcoming about something, when they're just keeping something to themselves and they are trying to kind of do the right thing for the right reasons, but they're going about it in a way that excludes their partner and it's affecting their partner in big ways, yeah, a confrontation is going to need to happen. And this movie just happens to happen hilariously. And I appreciate that. It was so good. But central to that is that relationship between these two characters and how believable it comes across, where you really do feel like you're witnessing like a spat between two partners, one of whom is incredibly fed up with the other one, like trying to be supportive, but incredibly fed up. And I like that in the movie, they don't make it so that it's, the wife is holding him back from his dream. And, I really enjoy that they didn't go that route and that she's knowledgeable about his interests. It's like this funny thing of like, he's just hyper fixated on motors and cars and racing and like vroom vroom things and all of that. And she's like, yeah, vroom vroom, baby, let's do it. Okay, cool. So I really enjoy that. And I think it's always like, it's not only challenging to play a real person, but a real person who died so long ago. It's not like you can go back to them and be like, hey, what were you thinking at this moment in your life? There's really none of that. You get kind of locked in because you want to be respectful of that individual, but there's also like a bit more freedom because you don't have that. It's like, I can only imagine, like that's one of the things that I would love to ask him, like when you're playing somebody who was a real person, how is it different? Like when he was playing Dickie in The Fighter versus playing Ken in Ford v Ferrari, how different is it in your process when you can talk to the person that you're playing versus when you're kind of going off of vibes, as it were?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that I would love to know because it's a fascinating thing to ponder. And I really loved his performance. I thought it was a very strong performance. This is like Christian Bale in a very like wiry body, because we've talked before about how his body changes over different roles. And in this one, like wiry is the description, I guess, because he's this big lanky guy who's like fitting himself into these tiny little cars and becoming one with the vehicle, like he's part of the machine. He's not just a driver. He's in the moments where he's testing them out and he's like, this is a piece of crap. He's a driver. And the bits where he is, locked in and he is enjoying what he's doing and all of that, like he is part of the whole experience. And that's something that I think it's a really cool thing. I could not possibly care less about racing. I think it is a ridiculous, silly thing to engage in. It's a ridiculous, silly, boring thing to watch. But through this performance, I can understand why people get into it. Couldn't be me, but I understand it a bit more.
So, Sara?
I think this is probably one of my favorite performances by him. I kind of went in blind because I didn't really know the story, the background. I'm not into racing. Like Carla, I found it kind of an odd sport. I have been to a NASCAR race and it was fun, but lots of rooms there. But no, I absolutely loved his performance. It did feel very, very real to me. The interactions between him and his son, you could just tell that, despite he obviously has some PTSD going on, or so it seems, he's still a very loving, caring husband and father. And he absolutely adores his son. And you could see just from their relationship how much his son looks up to him and how supportive as a whole family, how supportive they were and encouraging to him. I really don't have too much more to say. More later on when we talk about the ending, because I didn't realize what had happened. And I looked it up, and there's an interesting conspiracy theory regarding the crash.
Oh.
It was weird.
Yeah, you'll have to share that when we get to the
Yeah, I'll
ending
share
part.
that later when we talk about the ending.
Huh.
Because, I was going down the rabbit hole a little bit, and, it was like titled, the real story behind and what they missed or something. I'll read it later, but yeah, I'm like, oh, apparently we now have conspiracy theories. Whatever. Because of course there's conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
naturally.
Of course.
Why not? I don't think I have a criticism of Christian Bale in almost any performance I've seen of his. I think he's always fantastic, but a little biased because I absolutely adore him. So
yeah, I mean, I'm very biased too, but I don't like him in Public Enemies like at all.
I haven't seen that one, so I can't.
I actually think that's like a horrible. Sorry, Christian.
Love you.
He's gonna cry.
So what I was saying earlier before Fergie so rudely interrupted me
Fergie.
is to prepare for his role. Christian Bale took race driving lessons at the Bondurant high performance driving school. The school's founder had been a friend of Ken Miles, so Bale got to hear stories of the 1960s racing scene. Robert Nagel, Bale's instructor and the film's stunt coordinator, called Bale hands down the best actor I've ever trained.
Awesome.
Not surprising, but pretty incredible. Yeah, and part of the reason James Mangold wanted to give this role to Christian Bale is he wanted to see Christian Bale do something where he could be funny, have a little bit of humor in it, because he does have some funny scenes. He's kind of silly. He's kind of letting loose a little bit, you know? And like I have said, because he's so funny. And so we really need to see him in more comedic roles. I agree. He's so good in this movie. I watched this movie for the first time a few years ago, like right at the wrap up of Christian Bale Month, and I had never seen this movie. And I was like, I'm going to be bored to tears. I'm not going to enjoy this movie, but I'm going to get it over with. I loved this movie. I was surprised at how entertaining I found it because just like both of my panelists, I am not a race car person. I could care less about that. I will say I have gone off-roading before, and that was a blast, but I'm not like this huge like car person. I'm not a vroom vroom person. I think the worst Final Destination movie is the one that takes place at a race car track. It's so stupid. So it's not my thing. And I was like, this is going to be just boring, just watching these cars just race. But somehow it is very entertaining. And a big part of that is Christian Bale, his performance. And you can tell he's having fun. And you can tell like he is like, I don't know, like tapping into something that he hasn't been able to play before. And you know, he has great chemistry with the people he's working with. And I agree, the scene with his wife when she's driving the car is one of the best scenes in the whole movie because of their chemistry and because of her taking him like when they're about to round the corner and he's like, you've got to slow down. And watching that and the hubcap falling off and like the whole thing is great because what they do with this that is so rare because this is a very male-dominated movie. She's really the only woman in the movie. And what they do that usually you don't see in these movies is they give her some kind of agency and something that's more than just the supportive, doting wife. And I think that's why her character works so well and why that scene works so well. And then I love that at the end when he's like, $200 a day. And she's like, why aren't you doing this? Because back then, like you look at that now, like there's trivia.
Yeah.
And with inflation, that would be over $400,000 a year he would be making. So back then, that was like, she's like, what are you nuts? You got to take this $200 a day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He said that and I was like, wait, $200 a day? But back then,
Yeah.
Wait, sir, that is so much money.
I know. And she's just like, you know, how could you even be thinking about this? You should just be doing this. So I love their chemistry and I love that her character is not just this supportive nothingness, you know, and she has like, she's a real character. She's more fleshed out than you usually would see in these movies. And I did forget to say that Noah Jupe plays their son, Peter, and just saying that he's also in the movie Hamnet, and so is his younger brother. So, and he plays, I'm not going to tell you who he plays in the movie because, you know, and his younger brother plays Hamnet in the movie. So just to let you know. And they've been on the red carpet together and they are so adorable together. Carla and I have been sharing it.
So, yes. Oh my God. They are the cutest. It's like the kind of sibling relationship that you pray your kids have.
Yeah.
When you have multiple children. Oh, they are so flipping cute. Like, you know, he goes and he holds his little brother and the little brother's just like, you know, being a cute little tiny child. And he's just looking at him like, I'm so proud of my little brother. Oh my God. I want to melt.
Yeah, and his little brother is outstanding in Hamnet. One of the scenes is incredibly hard to watch, but he is, and I guess before they filmed that scene, sorry, this is a total tangent. before they filmed that scene, he came on set and he said, "I'm getting ready to break everybody's heart."
Oh my
That just cracks me
That's
up.
awesome.
So anyway, back to this movie, sorry. But yeah, I think Christian does a great, fantastic job, and I love seeing him have so much fun. And even though there also is, you can see a lot of hurt and PTSD and trauma and anger in Ken Miles, he also has a little bit of a fun side to him. And he just is someone who this is like his dream. This is like what he's really good at. And this is where he finds a sense of power. And the scene towards the end in the race when he and he's like saying, "I'm happy, HAPPY," and then he slows down so that the other cars can cross together. And there's this little thing that Christian does where he doesn't say anything, but you see this like moment of like pure bliss and then a little bit of sadness, but it's sadness because of the pure bliss, but then sadness also because he can't enjoy the moment by himself and he's going to have to cross the line. And then when he realizes that they have rigged it so that somebody else will win and not him, which is, oh my God, so infuriating.
So messed
and
up.
watching everybody go to the other driver and not him with like the flowers and everything like that. The heartbreak in his face is just, just such amazing acting. Just there's a reason he is one of the best actors we have alive today. And this really, really shows it. So I really love this performance, and the movie overall surprised the hell out of me because I really didn't expect to like this movie at all. And I just think it's so much fun. And a lot of the reason it's fun is because of Christian. And a lot of the reason it's interesting is because of Christian and no one else. No, Brad Pitt could not have played this role.
No.
Oh God, no.
No.
Nope.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
I was surprised how much I enjoyed it because I didn't think I was going to be interested in it or care about it at all. And I ended up that way.
Yeah.
It was really good. I actually kind of want to watch it again. What I found, the one thing I wanted to say, what I found was hilarious is you have Ken Miles, who's this race car guy, and works on race cars, builds race cars, repairs race cars, whatever. And he drives a wood-paneled station wagon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just like in the opening scene when he's working on the MG, which I was like, oh, an MG. My dad had an MG. And telling the one guy, like, it's a sports car. You're not supposed to drive it like a grandma. Paraphrasing. But he's like, you're not driving the car properly. And he's like, well, I drive that over there. And I'm like, oh, he's got to be kidding. No. He wasn't kidding. I thought that was just hilarious.
Yeah.
That, he's this race car guy and it's a freaking station wagon. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, for those listening, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Carroll Shelby, Matt Damon's character, and his partnership with Ken Miles. So we'll be right back. If you're anything like me, once the holidays are over, you might start feeling like you've got like a big spending hangover. The drinks, the holiday food, the gifts, it just all adds up. Luckily, Mint Mobile is here to help you cut back on overspending this January with 50% off unlimited premium wireless. Before I switched to Mint Mobile, I didn't have the high-speed data or the very reliable 5G network. In fact, I'd go like a couple blocks away and I'd lose my coverage. But now with Mint Mobile, I no longer have to worry about that. Plus, no more hidden charges on my phone bill. And with plans starting at $15 a month, you can see your phone bill cut in like half. I switched, and so should you. Mint Mobile's end-of-year sale is still going on, but only until the end of the month. So cut out big wireless's bloated plans and unnecessary monthly charges with 50% off 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. This January, quit overspending on wireless with 50% off unlimited premium wireless. Plans start at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/fandom. That's mintmobile.com/fandom. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Okay, so also in this movie, they're a bunch of real life people, but also in this movie is Matt Damon, who plays Carroll Shelby. And he is the one who's helping to design these cars. He's like known Ken Miles forever. And they have a friendship that goes back a ways. And they have one of the most hilarious fight scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Their fight scene is so hilarious. Both Christian Bale and Matt Damon loved shooting that scene too. So, Carla, what are your thoughts on Carroll Shelby and his partnership with Miles?
Okay, listen, I'm going to level with you here. So, was Matt Damon kind of phoning it in? Because it felt to me, I was not taken in by his performance. It didn't feel like anything to me. It didn't feel lived in. It didn't feel like anything. And they could have literally cast anybody else except for Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. And they would have been more convincing to me. And also, like, what was his accent? Like, the guy's supposed to be Texan, and sometimes he sounds a little bit Texan. Sometimes it sounds like he forgot that he's supposed to be Texan, and then he throws in like a little like twang in there in the middle of a sentence, and then he forgets again. So I was more distracted by the accent and then lack thereof, and then accent again, than into the performance. I don't know. Like, I didn't think Matt Damon was particularly good in this role, because so many of the other characters I thought were like so good that I would have been hard pressed to think of anybody else who could have done those roles. But in this particular role, I was like, almost anybody else could have been this character, and it wouldn't faze me in the least. I'm not even a Matt Damon hater, like I'm a Matt Damon apatheticer. Yeah. He's there, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no big feelings about him one way or the other. But I was like, as far as Shelby himself as a person, and this is a movie, so what do we really know about real life versus this thing? I'm, us specifically, because we're not, gearheads, so it's not like we have an extensive depth of knowledge of, this is what like the real deal in the relationship. I don't know. It seemed to me like he was doing his best to do right by Ken, but he also, part of doing right by Ken is keeping him employed. And sometimes the best way to do that was to cave in to the demands of corporate and be like, look, man, I was pulling for you, but they don't want you in this position, but I want you employed. So, you're going to keep working for the company. You're just not going to be the driver. And I thought that was like, honestly, like a really beautiful and kind thing to do as a friend and as a coworker, even if they're not friends, as somebody who holds somebody in any kind of esteem, to think, I could just throw everything behind this guy that they actually want and help, coach him and guide him to become a better driver. And he may or may not ever be as good as Ken Miles, but we can do our best to get him there. It was never like that. He never, according to this movie, did anything but try to put Ken in the best light possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not his fault that Ken just was not cooperative in that regard. And I think it's also, just a really interesting exploration of corporate politics, where you have to ingratiate yourself to somebody for them to take you seriously. And they're not even looking at the big picture of, I may not like this person's personality, but they would do an incredible job for the company. So, it's a company kind of shooting itself in the foot because this one guy has a hang up about this person that he can't stand. And all because the guy had the nerve to say this car's crap, which objectively was true. It's not, he took it as an ego thing and made things more difficult for the company than they needed to be. But I think that Shelby was genuinely trying to do his best to satisfy a lot of people. So he was really in the middle of a lot of hard decisions. I did like the cheeky little things of like stealing the timing things from the Italian team. I thought that was like hilarious. Yeah, it cracked me up. I love the old man fight.
Yes. It's the best.
It was so funny. Like he just grabs the Wonder Bread and like whacks him with it. It's like, I don't actually want to kill you, but oh my God, I really want to hit you with something right now. And then the wife just like bringing up the lawn chair and being like, you know, front row seats, let's do this. It was so good. And then, you know, like, hey, honey, can I have a Coke? Sure, honey. Would you like a Coke, Shelby? I'd love a Coke. He doesn't get a Coke. No, don't bring him one. And then brings one for each of them, and then like they toast with it. It's so funny. Like, apparently he just went to, you know, like, we ran out of 2 things: ice cream and Wonder Bread. Go get those 2 things. It was so funny. And then now it's like, okay, great. Now I have to go and get the Wonder Bread and the ice cream, you know, like whatever. Oh man, it was so good. But that's one of the things that I love so much about that confrontation is that it's a very silly, ridiculous thing to have happen among grown adults who are in their middle age and played by people who have played like big outsized characters. You know, it was just fantastically funny. And to me, like, that was honestly like the best Matt Damon moment, because he was just loose and silly, and you didn't have to worry about the accent. It just felt very like in that moment, as opposed to very actorly acting. Because this movie, you know, to me, this movie was very movie.
Yeah.
It was like all of the acting was actory, except for Christian Bale, who was living in the character, and Katrina Balfe. To me, almost everybody else was like, this is a moment where I'm going to stand seriously. I'm going to look at you seriously and say something very seriously. And then I'm walk out. But this scene was just people being goofy. It was great. I genuinely hope that Carroll Shelby was as good a person as he was portrayed in this movie, because that would be fantastic. Who knows? But if it were true, it would be really, really nice.
To choreograph that fight, because they both said it was so much fun because they've done so many of those big, huge ones. It was like just 20 minutes of deciding how to choreograph it. And it was just very much them just having like fun. And they talked about it. It was as much fun to film as it was to, you know, watch. So, yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they just seem like just letting loose and having a good time. Because like, what are the stakes here? Oh no, I'm going to hit you too hard with the bread.
I know.
I mean, maybe if it was stale, but
right? Like, you know, do you have a gluten allergy? Because that would be a problem. Otherwise, let's just go for it.
Well, in the moment when Ken is holding up the trash can lid, and then Carroll like punches it, and then you hear Ken say, "Are you okay?"
It's so silly. It's so silly. It was so good.
that's a sign of a true friendship right there.
Exactly. It's like one of those, and watching the wife just be like unfazed, like, okay, these boys.
This is going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Let me grab a seat.
So, Sarah.
Yeah, I don't have, I mean, Carla kind of summed everything up there, so I don't have too much to add. But yeah, I kind of agree. I'm not a huge I am apathetic about Matt Damon. I'm not a huge fan, and I don't dislike him, but yeah, I mean, his performance was just, you know, I feel like he was playing Matt Damon.
Yeah.
You know, and the accent thing, I picked up on that too. I'm like, is he supposed to have an accent? What's going on here? Because, yeah, every so often that little Texas twang would come out, but then he would sound like Matt Damon again. So, whatever. You know, as for Carroll Shelby, yeah, like you said, I really hope he was as good of a person as they portrayed him. You know, I don't know anything. I really didn't know anything about him other than that's how the Shelby Mustang came to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I knew about him. But it seems like they had a very close friendship. But like you said, Shelby was being pulled in different directions. But he wanted to do what he could to take care of Ken. So, just basically agreeing with whatever you said, with what you said. Not too much to add to it.
Yeah, I think I probably like Matt Damon the most of anybody on the panel here. I'm not like in real life, whatever. I always have this interesting, like, kind of like not connection, but like I was very involved in Project Greenlight when that was around. Like I was like, that was a huge community. We were like always on they had message boards back when message boards were a big thing. And like I submitted a screenplay to that and everything. Ben Affleck was very involved in that. One of the smartest people in the whole entire world is Ben Affleck. But honestly, he's so smart. Yeah, he's incredibly smart. I had this like weird little like, nostalgia feel about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck to some respect, more for Ben Affleck than Matt Damon. And I think Matt Damon actually can be a fantastic actor. Like I think he's given some incredible performances. But I do agree, this is a very phoned in performance. I think a lot of it is also, this is kind of like a character that is kind of there as the kind of almost the audience surrogate in some weird respects. And so I think that's part of where that's coming from. But I do agree. I think the accent is very distracting. Matt Damon mainly wanted to do this movie so he could work with Christian Bale. That's what he said. So that's
interesting.
Yeah, I can't blame him there.
Yeah, I mean, he's always wanted to work with him, and they probably both always wanted to work with each other. And so that was a big reason he did it. And so I think, he does okay, but he doesn't seem to fully commit, like you both have said. I do think one of his best scenes that isn't the fight scene is the scene at the end with Peter, with Ken's son. I think he does a really good job in that. I also really love, mainly because of just what goes on, I love the scene when he locks Josh Lucas's character, Leo B, in his office. That is hilarious, so that he can go take Henry Ford II out on a ride. I think that is incredible. And it's also very smart because he's like, if I can get Henry Ford II to realize this is why Ken Miles should be part of this, then this is the only way he can realize this, is seeing how, the handling of the car. And watching that scene, and Tracy Letts is so good in that scene too. And Tracy Letts, I guess, thought of like his late father to do the crying on cue thing. So, but I just thought that scene was so hilarious because that's the thing, is he's really kind of a funny character. And I just wish Matt Damon had committed a little bit more and not done like almost like a Saturday Night Live skit kind of feeling to it, where it's not, he's not fully committed to this role. But I do think that Matt Damon and Christian Bale work really well together. I think they have good chemistry together. And I kind of almost wished we could have had more scenes of just the two of them. Like, I love the fight scene. I also love the scene when they're, sitting across each other when he's first proposing, when Carroll is first proposing the idea to Ken. I like that scene a lot too. And I love Carroll's things at the race, at the Le Mans race, when he's just like, when he puts that little, like the screw thing on the, or the bolt on the ground. And
like, what is this?
And him taking those stopwatches is so great.
He won't want they're Italian.
Yeah. Because this is someone who is so not corporate. He's so not a corporate person. And when you have people that are not into that and are not that being thrown into a corporate world, you see how difficult that is for them to justify some of the things they have to end up doing, or that they're forced to do, or that they're asked to do. And that's an interesting examination. I just wish Matt Damon had committed a little bit more to that, because he can. He's got the talent to do it, and I just wish he had committed a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, what are your brief thoughts, Carla, on the other characters? Because there are a lot of people in this movie.
There are so many people in this movie. I've already talked a little bit about Katrina Balfe and how I think her performance was so good, and it goes so well with Christian Bale's performance. I also love the scenes with just her and Peter, because when they're by themselves and they're watching the race on TV, I like that they are just so both into it, but she's also looking out for her child, because he's scared. He's so scared because he had just seen his dad almost die. So she's, on the one hand doesn't want to keep him from watching the race, even though that's going to be very anxiety making for him. And at the same time, she has her own anxieties to work through. I like the way that she works with the other actors on the scene. Other than this, I've only really ever seen her in Outlander. So to me, like, I don't have like a whole lot of experience with her particular, craft, but I've liked her in both of those things. She has a way of showing a lot of vulnerability and tenderness, but she's still like fiercely strong. And I really enjoy that about her as an actress, because this is a role in which you really needed somebody like that who can do all of those things at the same time and go toe to toe with one of the greatest actors of his generation. I hated Beatty, but I loved the performance. Josh Lucas was so good in it. He's an absolute, punchable human being.
Yes.
Everything he does is so sneaky, underhanded. He is full of ego, but it's still a very good performance because you buy into all of that and it all feels so real. And you really do want to punch this man in the face, and then you have to remember, no, it's okay. He's an actor doing actor things. It's fine. You don't actually want to. You don't actually want to punch him. You're gonna be okay. Tracy Letts in that scene where he's like, he starts sobbing, and on the one hand, it's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. The car stops. Matt Damon just looks at him like, so, and he's like, because on the one hand, that's one thing with these executives, is that they spend all of their time in meetings and eating fancy dinners and not interacting with the actual product or the people who use that product. And suddenly he's becoming one of the people using that product in the way this product is intended to be used. So he is having this, like, it's a huge change from his daily life and from the way that he lives his life. And, I'm sure there were several moments where he thought he was going to die. So I think that, like, there's like a lot of catharsis going on there, because it's like his father's legacy that he's trying to uphold and surpass in a way. And also like this huge commitment that he's made mostly out of ego, because he wants to be Ferrari, not because he's particularly like into it. And then also just, as a human being experiencing all of these things at the same time, he's not aware that that this is like all part of a ruse to get this one guy on the track. He's just feeling feelings, and it's hilarious, but it's also a little bit heartbreaking as just watching a human experience all of this. It's still super funny though, don't get me wrong. I was just like, sir, you're so funny. I really loved Remo Girone as Enzo Ferrari, because oh my god, so good. And it really shows you how much this is all posturing and ego, because Ferrari, he just wanted to make race cars, and he was there, boots on the ground, watching the thing the whole time, not going on a helicopter to get a fancy dinner. He's there with his people doing the thing. And even when, when he and his workers are doing shady things to get more money out of Fiat, I'm behind them 100% of the way, because this is somebody who knows his worth. Like, he knows what his company is worth. He knows what his expertise is worth, his process, all of that. And he's leveraging Ford's offer against this other company for the outcome of remaining in control of his product. And capitalism bad. This guy is masterful at it. And honestly, hate the game. Also hate the players. But this guy, chef's kiss. So good. I just thought it was really interesting. And also, he plays somebody who has, and I don't know that this actually happened in the race. Who knows what actually happened? I wasn't there. I wasn't even born. But that moment where he acknowledges Ken, I thought was really, really neat. And it just shows you like the stark difference between, American capitalism and American capitalists and people who are not that. The performance, like, part of the reason that I liked it so much is because he plays it in a very cheeky way where, yeah, he's very serious and he's, like surrounded by all of these people. And he has like this translator who's very seriously translating things that are very serious into his very serious ear. But he's still hilariously funny. Like all of the little moments that he has at the track, there are so many of them that just make me laugh so hard and make me like sympathize all the more with this very rich man who doesn't need my sympathy or anything else. There are other people who also do good things, but those are the ones that I wanted to talk about and highlight because, yeah, they kind of stole the movie for me.
So, Sara?
I'm not really going to necessarily touch on performances, more things that I learned, I guess. Like John Bernthal as Lee Iacocca was okay, but I didn't realize that Lee Iacocca was a Ford guy first, because I always associated him with Chrysler later on.
Yeah.
Because the first car I ever had was a Plymouth Sundance. They don't even make them anymore. And that car was such a lemon. And my mom would like rage out about Lee Iacocca all the time. Oh my God, she hated Lee Iacocca. So watching this, I'm like, yeah, he kind of was an ass. And I didn't realize he created the Ford Mustang. So, learned some new things. And I actually didn't know that John Bernthal was in it until I started watching it. So I'm like, oh, that's a nice bonus. Because I really do like him as an actor, especially on The Bear. But I mean, other characters, oh my God, these people, just the corporate people were just awful. Like Josh Lucas's character, yes, very punchable. I've wanted to punch him since I saw Queen of the Ring, because he was just so slimy in that one too. And he plays the character so well. He just plays like a creepy, slimy guy really well, which probably means he is a delightful person in real life, because that's usually the way it works. We've already talked about Matt Damon's performance, but I mean, the cast overall was, I thought was fantastic. Not too much more to say other than that.
It's kind of reminds me of, a lot of these sports, like, because this is a sport in a way. It's classified as a sports movie. But a lot of things like this, like, it also reminds me of horse racing, because with horse racing, jockeys are treated like such trash and they make no money. And the people that, like, quote unquote, that own the horses, they make so much money and they're total dickheads. They're horrible people for the most part. I know some stories from people that have worked with racehorses, how horrible they are to the horses too. But it kind of reminds me of that in a way. This reminds me of that just because of the fact that the drivers that are literally putting their lives on the line out there for these people that just sit there and watch, or like how they show with Henry Ford, how in the middle of the race, he has a helicopter come and pick his wife and him up so they can go to a fancy dinner in France. And that's how out of touch people in corporate, people who are billionaires, how out of touch they are with the people that are actually running the company and actually helping with the company and working for the company. Because he just leaves in the middle of everything going on and is just like, I'm going to go have a nice dinner. It's so out of touch, but it's so representative of the truth and the reality of capitalism and the reality of the people that head companies, or most of them are like that. And so I think that's what's so interesting about the other characters, is seeing that when you see like the people that work on the cars, that are there in the pit, and doing, like, putting in the brakes in the middle of this race, having to replace the brakes. Yeah. And like with Ray McKinnon's character, who plays Phil Remington, who's always there on the ground and working on the car, and has known Carroll and has known Ken for a long time. And those are the people out there getting dirty, and actually doing the work while they're watching people fly off in helicopters. It's very, very much a story about that, and a story about people that are just like, they were so used to just working with their hands and building things, and then having like these huge corporation looming over them, and they don't understand what it really takes for something to work, and they just want it to go a specific way that'll make them look better. So if they have someone like Ken Miles, who they've referred to as a beatnik, and if they have him like win this instead of the ones they've handpicked, it'll reflect poorly on Ford. It won't make them look as classy. When you look at it, they're racing cars. It's not, I mean, it's like, they're getting grease all over themselves, or the people that are actually working down there. And so it's like that disconnect of reality and what real people, what majority of people are going through versus what you're going through. And that's why that scene when Carroll is taking Henry Ford on that drive is so interesting to watch, because that's the first time that he's ever really seen what it is that he's doing and really understood it.
Yeah.
And for him to see that and get that emotional about it and even pee his pants and, well, they didn't say that. They just alluded that might happen. Is, a really interesting way of talking about capitalism and everything like that. And I didn't expect a conversation about that in a movie about racing, to be honest. And so I thought that was an interesting thing to put in there. But I agree, like a lot of the other characters, some of them kind of fade into the background. I like John Barenthal, but there's this really kind of a nothing thing for him.
Yeah.
But I do agree about Josh Lucas, and he's so slimy in this. He's so slimy, and that's why you love when he gets locked in the office and he's freaking out. And when the other worker, I can't remember his name, like puts his foot on the doors.
Yeah. Oh God, that was so funny.
The door.
Oh no, the door is stuck.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I loved that so much. Because it's always nice when you get to see these corporate jackoffs, these corporate jerks, get something done to them. So that was nice. And I think this was also the movie for Josh Lucas, because Josh Lucas, of course, was in American Psycho. And I think when he made American Psycho, he was really not sure what to think about Christian Bale, because Christian Bale was very much in the character. And so I think he kind of like changed his opinion about Christian Bale when making this movie. I believe that's what I've heard. So that could be not true, but that's what I have heard allegedly. So yeah, I think it's a lot of characters, but the most interesting part is just watching the corporate people get some comeuppance. But in the end, like is the case, they win. In the end, they win, because that's the way, sadly, it works. Okay, well, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're just going to wrap up by talking about the ending of the movie and if it was satisfying. Okay, so we're back for the people listening. So in the end, we do see the final time that Ken Miles drives a car, and it was to test a car. And then you kind of see like they were never able to determine, because the car was like so melted that they weren't able to really completely determine what happened. But it looks like, like the brakes failed and the car crashes and he dies. And that's kind of the way the movie ends. There's a bookend after that, though, where Carroll goes to return the wrench. She wants to bring the wrench that was thrown at him by Ken, that Ken threw at him. And then he has the little talk with Peter, with Ken's son. So, Carla, I almost said Carroll. I'm sorry.
I can't tell you how many times in my life people have misspelled my name instead of Carla to Caral and called me Carroll.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it would not be new for me, is what I'm saying.
Oh, because mine was just because of the Carroll Shelby. So Carla.
Yes. I thought, for one thing, listen, this was a long movie. I was mostly glad that it was over. I was like, oh God, there's more. And then there was more. And then suddenly there was no more. And I was like, oh, I can get up now. Fantastic. So I had never heard about any of these people. I didn't know. I'm not in the world of racing, so I just, whatever. I looked up Carroll Shelby to find out if he was indeed Texan, like I thought he might be, from the 2 seconds every 15 minutes that Matt Damon would use the accent. And indeed, yes, a Texan. And then I got curious about Ken Miles, and, I put in Ken Miles, and then it comes up Ken Miles' death. I was like, oh, shoot. Because kind of like oops, I spoiled this movie based on true facts. So I happened to read it like 15 minutes before. No, like halfway through the movie is when I read that. So then I went through the whole rest of the movie with this anxiety about this man, like when he's going to die. Is he going to die now? 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 And, then you think, oh, wait, the movie's almost over. Maybe they end it right after Le Mans. And they're like, you know what? Good enough. We'll just tell you about it in like a little, blurb over some black and white pictures or something. And no, in fact, they do not do that. They show you, thankfully, not graphically. I was very, very relieved that it was not a graphic depiction of his death. For one thing, I think it would be, to me, like that kind of thing is often disrespectful and more for show than for substance. And I really liked that. I didn't like that he died, but I did like that in this movie. It's you just see the plumes in the distance and people rushing to him, and you know that there's no way, especially if you're like me and you looked up this man in the middle of the movie, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, this is probably the time. But I thought that, again, not necessarily satisfying, because even with the scene with Carroll in the end, it was mostly sad. And it was a weird ending to the movie because I didn't know what the movie was trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? Like it was just a movie for the sake of the movie. And I don't know what they were trying to highlight, what they were trying to do. It was a movie centered on Ken Miles. So I don't know if they were trying to commemorate his legacy for people who have been fans of his or who know about him, and, bring his legacy forward for acknowledgement. I didn't know if this was a movie about Carroll Shelby, because they didn't really do too much as far as his particular imprint on Ford. Is it about friendship? Is it about corporate greed? What is it about? I think it was like just a mishmash in a lot of ways. So the ending, again, to me, I was mostly just glad that it was done. And yeah, like it's funny, but at the same time, I think that they kind of wasted an opportunity to make it about something. The ending, it was, we don't know what happened after Ken dies. We don't know if Shelby goes into like a big depression about it. We don't know anything about what happens to Molly and Peter, except for when we see them at the end. So it's just very weird and abrupt the way that they ended it. I almost, again, I think I would have been happier as a viewer if they had ended it after Le Mans and just put something on the screen saying, and then shortly thereafter, Ken Miles passed away at a trial of the new vehicle or whatever, because then it doesn't feel so weirdly stunted. I kind of get the importance of actually showing you kind of what happens. I don't know. It threw the movie more off balance than it already was for me. And it's kind of a shame because I thought that it had done a lot to make me, again, not particularly interested in the sport, but interested in this person who contributed so much to this company and to the sport. And I think overall it would have been nice to see more of Ken Miles, even if it was at the expense of Carroll Shelby. I thought that would have been acceptable as a sacrifice, in my opinion.
Sara?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It felt unnecessary the way they ended it. I think just ending it with Miles and Shelby like walking off and talking about, okay, how are we going to improve for next year, the next race kind of thing, and then just, however, because it was like months later that the crash happened, and it, just putting that tragically, Ken Miles died on a test track, so it did feel a little disjointed and unnecessary. I will say the ending of the race was bullshit.
Yeah.
That was total bullshit, and that was orchestrated because they did not want him to win. So, okay, Ford still won, but, they were farther back on the track when they started. So they win. Don't think that's how it works, but apparently it did this time. And fun fact, they won in 66, 67, 68, 69. And those are the only years an American-built car has won Le Mans. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I don't want to say I was satisfied with the ending. It didn't, but it felt unnecessary. So I went down the rabbit hole, a little bit of a rabbit hole, not a big rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
A small
conspiracy.
Yeah, it was, I found a link to an article and it was, did the ending of Ford v Ferrari feel abrupt? Well, yeah, that's because it was. So that seems to be a thing. So this is from Car and Driver in 2023 that there's they go through other stuff about Ken Miles. But it says, now comes another mini mystery that, although intriguing to motorheads, is unlikely to trigger much interest with Dick Wolf and his Law & Order scriptwriters. I don't know what it has to do with Dick Wolf, but whatever. It reached me via a retired San Jose, California police officer named Fred Jones. After extensive research, Jones has compiled a fascinating dossier that suggests that star race driver Ken Miles might have survived the reported fatal crash at Riverside on August 17th, 1966, and was found living in an abandoned school bus in rural Wisconsin.
What? That is not at all where I thought that was going to go.
That's wild.
What? Well, that would make him a total ass if he did that to his family.
I know, exactly. And we know that's not true. But there are, there were other articles about, how Ford's aerospace division or something came in and they, went through the wreckage, which there wasn't much left of after it. And they couldn't find what caused the crash.
Yeah.
But they are adamant that there is no way that he could have survived that to live in an abandoned school bus in Wisconsin.
What in the world?
That is absolutely, because what I thought it was going to be something like, Ford didn't want it to even be a competitor in the next Le Mans. So they rigged it so that he specifically could not possibly be a competitor to the next Le Mans. And it was going to come down to like Beatty being the one like orchestrating it somehow. And that would have made a lot more sense than him just going and living somewhere in like on a bus in Wisconsin.
That's a plausible conspiracy theory.
Right? That would make a lot more sense to me. But like, what? Why would he want to? What?
Yeah.
Did this
I found
bus driver like say, "Hey, I'm Ken Miles"? Oh man.
Yeah.
Maybe some like corporate espionage gone wrong thing, and like he was, like trying to fleece Ford, and somebody found out about it, and so he was turning over state's evidence or something, and then he had to be taken somewhere for like like what is it, the
witness
protection, yeah. And so but then why wouldn't they have taken his family? Maybe it was just that dangerous, and that he didn't want to involve his family. Oh,
there you go.
What? We figured it out. Yay. We solved the mystery of this, the whole of the conspiracy theory.
Such a weird. Oh,
I know.
Oh, I think someone has something to say about this conspiracy theory.
I know. Oh, Christian.
Hi, Christian.
Hi, Christian.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. Sara. Hello, Erin. It is lovely to see you, although it is a sad occasion, as it is among the last of times that I shall see you this year. And Erin, I do not forget that you did curse me for my special day because you did speak about it earlier.
Yeah, but you weren't there.
I am always here in spirit. I do not know how you do not know that.
I'm sorry, Christian.
For I may not be everywhere, but I am some places.
But I am some places. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Christian. We are January 30th. We're just celebrating January 30th.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, I could never be actually mad at you.
Thank you, Christian. Well, I am sad, as I always am, when we wrap this up. I mean, you'll be back on January 30th to celebrate January 30th. And you'll be back when we do our Patreon bonus episode talking about The Bride, which I'm so excited to see.
of course, I too am quite excited to speak about that. Finally, the gag shall be loosened, and I will be able to speak about it openly, happily, joyfully, perhaps.
Perhaps.
We shall find out soon enough. But I am here to address those rumors about the conspiracy that Sara has brought to our attention.
Yes.
For I like to do my research. And although back when the movie was made, there was not quite as much access online as it is now. I don't mean as far as there being access at all. I just mean as far as there being so much that can be made up through the use of AI. I am so angry about it. I'm so the word artificial and intelligence together in a sentence makes me want to scream. I'm so mad about it. I hate it so much. Not happy. Happier now that I have stopped talking about it. So what I wanted to say about the conspiracy theory is that I understand that that's what you found, Sara, but I will tell you a little bit of just keep this between you and me, all right? Don't go telling anybody else.
I will not tell us
This is just our little secret, a cheeky little secret between friends. For I do consider you my friend. So what happened is that nothing that you read is what happened. The things happened factually as they did in the movie, but there was an impersonator, somebody who wanted to be the next Ken Miles, and in fact went on to have extensive plastic surgery to look like Ken Miles, which was not a good idea in the 1960s, for plastic surgery was not then what it is now. But this person did go around planting seeds of ideas of, I'm Ken Miles and I'm actually alive and in Wisconsin. When what really happened was that he was just out there to learn to drive in the vast open fields. And then he realized, oh no, all the fields have cows. And this is very complicated. Do not worry. I do not want you to get the impression that there was any harm to the cows. No cows were harmed.
Oh, good.
In fake Ken Miles's attempt to learn to drive on the vast open fields of Wisconsin, everything is all right. And I often just stop and think to myself, was it perhaps, a mistake to leave that out? For the people should know, the people should have all the facts, and the people do demand answers. So I'm here to give you those answers, even if it is just here, just between us, and never to be shared by anybody again. Right? Cool.
Right.
All
yeah.
right.
Nobody else will be watching this, hearing it. Yeah.
Nobody else. We are all on the same page. So this fake Ken Miles person went to Wisconsin to try to drive, was not able to do so. And so naturally, he still wanted to do the vehicle thing and was like, oh, what shall I do with all of this desire to drive? However, the most he could do was drive a school bus. He was not only not capable of learning to drive a proper, roadworthy vehicle, he also was not very good at being a bus driver. So sadly, he ended up living in that bus. And this is what we must ponder. Why? Let us stop and think about a state of the world where a man cannot pursue his dreams to steal somebody's identity and become a world-famous race car driver, and must instead live on a school bus and write conspiracies about himself online. For that is, in fact, what happened.
God, that's kind of depressing, Christian. Thank you.
It is very depressing.
Well,
Very sad.
And let's ponder some more about this. Let's ponder some more about how, unfortunately, that is just sometimes life. And, there is also a lot of happiness in life. Don't get me wrong. Life has sadnesses and it has happinesses, and that happens to be a not very happy story. But if it does make you feel better, it does also mean that Ken Miles did not abandon his family willy-nilly or Willie Nelson. He simply was copied.
Willy-nilly or Willie Nelson? Oh my gosh.
No willies of any kind were harmed. And that is the
God.
actual story of what happened and how the conspiracy theory came about.
Wow, Christian, that tops anything I could have asked you. I don't even have words anymore. That is just thank you, Christian.
Have I left you
Thank you.
speechless?
Yes, as you often do. But I do want to say you were great in this movie. You looked like you were having a ton of fun. I know you've been asked a ton about that fight scene. The fight scene looked like it was just a blast to do.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all that bread got squashed, and it was very sad.
Oh.
Bread, when it gets squashed like that, does have a consistency of marshmallows, and I was tempted. However, I knew that it was not marshmallows, because even if we had actually had ice cream in those containers, maybe you can have like a little bit of bread with some ice cream, and that could be delicious. But we decided, no, we shall keep on with the play fight, and then we will move on to other stuff. However, I was so thrilled to be able to go vroom vroom very much. Ah! This was my face when I was trying to learn to drive those fast cars. I was like, oh, those turns are so fast and they're coming up and I'm going to have to, do I slow down to go faster? They said, do not slow down, Christian. I said, okay. So I did not slow down. And then the turns came and then I turned and everything was all right.
Wow. You have taken us on an emotional journey today, Christian. But I did just have a quick thought about that fight. Imagine if it had been marshmallows and not Wonder Bread.
Well, there's a reason why we did not do that. Originally, they had wanted to do marshmallows and ice cream because they thought, it's a dad going to get a treat for his child. He wants to get marshmallows and he wants to get ice cream. They're going to have a delicious, delicious treat when the child gets home from school or whatever the case may have been. However, I did think to myself, if they do that, I will be too tempted and I will eat all of the marshmallows over and over. They will have to buy multiple bags. And I did not want to inflate the budget any more than it needed to be. I was trying to be cost conscious. So we went instead with Wonder Bread.
Okay.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Are there any more questions that you might have for me regarding this movie?
My brain is totally gone from everything you've said. So no, I do think this is a great place actually to wrap up. I don't have much to add for my thoughts on the ending. I do agree it was kind of abrupt. But I did, Christian, since I haven't asked you this at all this whole time, and since we are going to do 6 Degrees of Mr. Finn Wittrock, who you've worked with before in The Big Short.
That's right. Lovely chap.
Yes, you could tell he was totally enamored with you. The pictures are so much like what I think a lot of us would look like if we were in the same room with you, Christian, where...
Oh, do stop. I was simply a man working with another man. We are just professionals working together.
But I did want to ask you, and I don't know, did you happen to do like a 6 Degrees of Finn Wittrock to connect Finn to this movie without using The Big Short?
I had so hoped that you would ask me, for I did, in fact, do just that.
Yay.
And I will tell you exactly who I chose, because I chose very carefully. I thought very long and hard about this. And I went back and forth and I thought, who in this long list of actors do I want to choose to talk about this? And I did my research beforehand. I gave it a lot of thought. And I finally decided on Josh Lucas, mostly because Carla really wanted to punch him very, very hard in the face. And I thought that as a treat, I would bring him up because even though he doesn't get punched in the face, by me anyways, we could, just punch out this segment with him. So, Josh Lucas was in J. Edgar with Dennis O'Hare, who was in The Normal Heart with Finn Wittrock and his beautiful locks of hair.
Very good, Christian, and I love that you mentioned his beautiful locks of hair. Because they are
How
beautiful.
could you not?
Yes, they're so beautiful.
Have you seen the man's beautiful, beautiful hair?
I have. It's stunning. It must have been really when you up close, it must be just even more stunning.
I can hardly speak of it. It is just too much to bear.
Too much to bear.
Far too much, especially that movie when my hair was tragically not so nice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's not fair. Well, I know Sara has something that she's doing right now, but thank you. Thank you so much.
My husband came in and needs his watch.
Oh, well, thanks.
Oh, hello, Sara's husband. I promise I'm not trying to steal your wife. I am simply here existing as a very famous actor,
Very famous.
merely answering questions.
Simply existing as a very famous actor. Ah, what a life, Christian.
Isn't it though?
Well, thank you so much, Christian, and thank you every year for joining us. And it means the world to all of us. So thank you, Christian.
As always, it is an absolute pleasure and an honor. And I do look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, January 30th, when we celebrate January 30th.
That's
Nothing
right.
else. Just January
A
30th.
simple, humble date on the calendar.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, ta-ta for now.
ta-ta, Christian.
Ta-ta.
Oh, a complimentary vroom vroom to you both.
Oh, yes, I should have said that to you. Vroom, vroom, Christian.
Vroom vroom. Ta-ta. Well, that was nice of him to throw that in.
No.
He's so
I'm
generous.
glad he cleared that up.
Too bad he's not generous
Right?
to you when he's there, but hey.
You know what? Like, I'm so used to it at this point. I feel like, you know, like it's maybe like Stockholm syndrome. I'm just like, sure, Christian, do what you want. The pantry is yours. The couch is yours.
Someday I want to talk to the employees who have worked and seen you just printing out that one picture of Christian Bale. Hear what their thoughts are on this.
The strategy is you go to a different Walgreens every year. Sometimes you even move out of state to do that.
Can you imagine you're on some kind of like, there's a message board Walgreens employees have, and they're like, okay, be on the lookout.
She's done it again.
So, Sarah, did you, Carla, I'm assuming you didn't have another 6 degrees of Finn Rock, unless maybe you did
no,
you?
I mean, like, he's framing it as like a favor to me, but he actually stole the one that I was going to do. So
that's rude. That's rude.
So rude.
I know. So rude.
So rude.
So that was Carla's that Christian stole. So
Not cool, dude.
nope, not cool. So Sarah, did you?
Yes, I connected Christian Bale and Finn Rock not using The Big Short. So Christian Bale was in Batman Begins with Morgan Freeman, who was in Nurse Betty with Renee Zellweger, who was in Judy with Finn Whitrock.
Oh, I like that. I really like that. That was a good one.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, there are several ways to use the movie that I did, and several actors you could use in this movie to connect to Finn through another movie. But I used Tracy Letts, and Tracy Letts was in the snail propaganda movie Deep Water with Mr. Finn Whitrock. You also could have used Matt Damon, because Matt Damon, of course, and Ben Affleck, you know. And I'm assuming then that my panelists haven't watched The Rip or whatever that is on Netflix.
Oh, I just saw.
No.
I haven't, but
Like a little,
yeah,
little still.
yeah. But you could have used Matt Damon and then connected back to the snail propaganda movie, Deep Water. That's what we lovingly call that awful movie. Remember, you can get It's a Snail Thing merch in our Redbubble store, which the link is on our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And also on there, you can become a Patreon supporter. You can listen to all our past episodes. You can follow us. You can join our Discord server here. You can, for those watching, you can handily scan this QR code. We'll take you right to our website.
Technology.
Okay, well, thank you, Vroom Vroom, Carla.
Vroom vroom to you.
And Vroom Vroom, Sarah. Thank you both, and Christian, of course, for joining me for this episode. So we're going to go ahead and close out. And Carla, tell everybody where they can find your podcast, Okay Real Quick.
Thank you, Erin. I am happy to inform you that you can find Okay Real Quick wherever you found this podcast. See, you don't even have to switch to another app. Just look here. I'm here forever. You can also find our social media presence by looking for @OKRealQuickPod, wherever you social your media, or my social media, Carla Temis, @Carla Temis. Also, the website carlatemis.com. That's CarlaTemis.com. And me being in the Fandom Thing Discord all the freaking time, man. All the freaking time.
All the time, man.
All the time, man.
All the freaking time, man.
Forever and always, whether you like it or not, that's where I am.
It's true. That's where we are the most active, is on the Discord server. So, yeah.
lots of pet pictures.
Yes.
Yes.
Very true. We even have a Christian fucking Bale channel over there.
We
so,
do.
Yeah. So, Sara, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Sara Vaquero Barnick. That's BARNAIK. Or on Instagram at NateCamMom. That's NateCammom. Or on TikTok at Sara A. Barnick. That's SaraABarnaik. And as usual, I am not that interesting.
Stop.
Unless you want sourdough bread.
Stop. See, there's the cult again.
I know. At least it's a tasty cult.
Exactly. Yes. Well, you heard her during this episode, even though she didn't watch this movie with me. So very outspoken for someone who decided not to watch the movie with me. And that is,
She had lots of opinions.
yeah, that's Fergie the dog. And you can follow her on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find all our past episodes, links to our social media, links to that Discord server, links to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, you already know where that is. All that jazz. Go once again to our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. And I'm putting the QR code up there again while I'm talking about this. And then while you're there, consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. For as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free content. You get episodes a day early. And you get bonus episodes and all sorts of fun goodies over there. So click the Support Us tab on our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. You can scan the QR code there if you're watching this, or you can click the link in the show notes. And Friday's episode, we had a change of plans. We were originally going to be talking about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which was a listener-suggested episode. So I apologize. We will get that to that episode once it's available on streaming. You can't even rent it at the library. You cannot find this anywhere. So hopefully it will be available this summer and we can do it sometime this summer. But as a replacement, because it has been suggested by a lot of people, and I don't think either of my panelists know we're doing this. Because they're not on it, but surprise, you're going to be on the next episode. You didn't even know.
What?
We are going to be talking about heated rivalry. So that is what we are talking about. So Meg will be on, and so will Ishelle. I'm not sure if Judy will be making it or not. That was the first person that suggested this episode to me. So those are the people that I had listed on there. Ishelle also, I'm really glad that Ishelle will be on. Ishelle hasn't been on since last June. And I'm very excited to have her on also because Ishelle helped run Queers and Quills, which was the convention that celebrated LGBTQIA plus literature, literature and books and stuff. So, and that convention will be taking place again in 2027, I believe is correct. So I'm excited to have Ishelle on for that reason too. I know both Ishelle and Meg have read the books. We won't talk about the books much, but I'm going to ask them how they feel this did adapting that and stuff like that. But it'll mainly be focused on the show. So I know this show has taken the world by storm and I had so many people wanting to do this. So I was like, oh, okay, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend isn't streaming. I was going to do this a totally different way. And then I was like, wait, that's not streaming. Okay. If they can do it, we're going to do this.
Awesome.
So yes, that's what we will be talking about next week. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, and Free Palestine.